when it comes to like branding and trying to do any of this stuff, don't try to be anything but yourself.
Mhm.
Just be you. Just be unapologetically you in everything you do because nobody is like you. You can have two donut shops next to each other, but they're both different because the owners are different.
I
That
love
like
that.
that you have to go by who you are because nobody walked in your footsteps. Nobody's done the same things you've done. Even if you're a dime a dozen career path,
Hmm.
nobody does what you do, and you will find your people if you are true to yourself.
Welcome back to the Own Your Awkward podcast. I'm your host, Andy Vargo, and every episode we get into what has made our guests vulnerable and how they've learned how to own their awkward in order to live their best life. Stay tuned so you can hear every awkward moment in today's show. Hey friends, welcome back. I am super excited. This is going to be such an energetic and fun episode. We've got another episode of the Own Your Awkward podcast, and today I have the awesome, the amazing, the no holds barred Angela DiMarco. Angela, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Oh, Andy, I'm great, and I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so glad to have you here. So Angela and I met at the No Longer Virtual conference just this year, which seems like it was 2 years ago because it's hard to
Lifetimes.
believe it was only 6 or 8 months ago. And yet, one of those people that you just instantly connect with and have fun with and learn from professionally while also enjoying life. And that's what I love about this entrepreneur and for me, solopreneur life, where everything is just blended together. And so the friendships become the lessons the things that I learn from the most from running my business. And it's just all one big happy thing. So glad to have you
It
here.
is. It is. Thank you. And I love being here. And just to that point, like the idea of like work-life balance, to me, it's not work because we love
Yeah,
what we do as solopreneurs, and
right.
it's so exciting and we get to like share our gifts with everybody and each other and make connections. And I remember when I met you and then you said something, I don't know if it was a group thing or you were like, yeah, I do stand up. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna find you a place to do stand up tonight, and we're all coming. And you were like,
I know
okay.
this is true. Actually, I wasn't, we were in Austin and it's always nice to try to get on a stage when you're in a different town, but I try to also like I'm here for the conference. I don't want to step away from the time with everybody. And it can be a little stressful to figure out what the good rooms are to go to or how to find a place in a town that you're not familiar with. So I kind of, was definitely blowing it off like, oh, it's no big deal. And everyone's going to have their happy hours and stuff. And I don't want to step away from that. And Angela's like, all right, group, we are going. And it was crazy because we're at this open mic and open mics can be pretty
A
light
mixed
on the
bag.
crowd and can be very different on what you're getting for comedy. But if you don't know, Austin can get cold in February, and this is an open mic that's outside on the patio, and
In the
there were
rain.
yeah in the rain, and it's one of those patios that's kind of like got drips coming through here and there, and there's 12 of my favorite people from LinkedIn huddled, and I'm going, I'm about to say some shit, pardon my French, that like I'm gonna say some really inappropriate stuff right now, and I think I even halfway through my set I was like, it's even more awkward that these are all people I know from LinkedIn, and then there were like, a couple other people in the audience and then the comedians, and I'm just going, oh, this is interesting. But but it was fun, and I was so glad you made me do it because it's great to do it in a different town, and and it pushes me out of that boundary because I do talk about owning your awkward and being comfortable just who you are, yet like, my comedy's blue and off color, and
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
purposely don't put a lot of my clips online because I do speak at schools and I do speak in corporations, and I don't want them to worry, can this guy control his mouth or what's he going to say? Or is a parent going to go, oh, we found this thing out there. However, um, so
It's
it's different
very
when
you're very like Bob Saget, like he was
right.
so raunchy, but then like
Mhm.
he's like on Family Ties or whatever the heck show he was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
However,
family, whatever, Full House, and
Full
also
House.
America's Funniest Home Videos, where you're going, how is this the face of like the father of America and all American family time? And I did not know that about him till
Excuse
after
me.
I started doing stand up and heard something that he said, and I was just going, and this is before AI. If it was now, I'd think, who put that AI over that guy's
Yeah,
mouth? But
I know,
yeah.
I know. But I just want to say that, like, so we sat there shivering, and I think you were like number 16 or
Yeah,
something
I was
like that.
way down in the lineup.
We
Yeah.
had to endure some pretty awkward.
Right.
Talk
Yeah.
about awkward. And they were like, "Oh, you don't find that funny? It must be you guys." We're like, "Yeah, that's all of
Right.
us."
Which is the worst thing to do as a comedian. It's like, because sometimes it's like, you don't find that funny. Maybe I'm in front of the wrong audience today, or maybe, maybe it hit somewhere else. And when I started doing stand up, I remember having comedians that I only ever saw at open mics, and my perception was, oh, they're not that great. And then I would see them in a show where they were booked and they really shined. And that was kind of a good reminder that, oh, when people are at an open mic, they may be very great comedians, but they're working their new stuff that isn't very tried
Right.
and true yet.
They're refining it.
Right.
But when you came on, not only were we so happy that you were like coming on, like finally, like it was like, but you were great. You
Oh,
were great.
thanks.
You're so sweet and so endearing and so freaking funny. Like it was, I'm so glad that
Uh,
that all transpired the way it did. It was awesome.
well, I appreciate that. And I think to not make this whole episode about me,
Oh, come on, let's do it.
but to turn it back to, you're the kind of person who sees what people where people can shine and what makes
Mhm.
them stand out, or what maybe they need in that moment, and are that encouraging person who says, nope, we're doing this. It's like I can see you being that ultimate ride or die bestie, where it's like, come on, we got this thing to deal with. Like when you're down in the slump, you want someone like Angela there who's saying, okay, we're going to figure this out, or we're going to take a break from this and we're going to go to a happy hour and forget about life for 2 hours just to let you reset, because sometimes that's what we need the most. And having that encouragement from you, having just met you, I mean, it's a whirlwind event. We had like 3 days together, and you're already on the second night. You're going, where are we going tomorrow night for this comedy?
I
Uh,
know. Funny story too. When we were at that, which I was so happy we were at a brewery. I forget the
yeah,
name of it, but it was a gluten free. They had gluten free beer, which is like I'm
yeah,
gluten free. I was like, oh, I can drink beer. So I
right.
drank like 5 beers, which I haven't had in a
Wow.
long time. Left my computer bag there
Oh,
with my
that's right. I
passport in it.
remember that.
I
Yeah.
called Sarah. I was like, please go get
Yeah, I remember that. And that's a good point, because breweries, I worked in a brewery for a while when I was getting my business to the next level, and it's a whole process to keep it separate and to not, you're dealing with so much equipment and everything, where that's a whole skill. And then I'm sure you would know more than myself, people can make something gluten free, but then to make it gluten free and have it be good
Good.
is the next
Exactly.
level.
Exactly. No, it was such a fun time. Such a fun time. So yeah, I think I was hopped up on beer and I was like, we're going to watch you do comedy. So go figure it out.
I know. I think even the next day, it was one of those like, I just need to verify. Were you serious? Like,
And I was like, oh hell yeah.
yeah, because I think you even had plans to not go out that night, and you're like, no, if we're doing comedy, I'll be out. So
Oh heck yeah. That was
yeah, so
awesome.
get yourself a bestie, a friend, and surround yourself with community like Angela, because that opens up doors, and it also pushed me out of my comfort zone to own my awkward a little bit and say it's okay that people are going to see you in a different light, and that whole few days, that's one of the things I love about the No Longer Virtual experience, is everyone's showing up differently, looking for, needing, and bringing different support. So we all need something, but we're also able to give something. And I think we all leave with that feeling of, man, you know what? I was able to help somebody in the room, and I don't feel like I gave the whole time and didn't get anything in return. I hope that's how it felt for you.
Yeah, yeah. And what it was surprising because it wasn't about, I was going there like from a business perspective to
Sure.
collaborate with the entrepreneurs and like-minded and see how we can all help each other. And the things that I got out of that trip had nothing to do with business.
Yeah.
It was really
Interesting.
interesting, because it's like it was more about like help me like take a step back, look at my life goals, my decisions, like just the bigger picture
Yeah.
on everything. And I don't know, it was cool. Like even as I was talking about my business and things, I was like, this isn't sounding, it's not landing. Like it was really fascinating.
Yeah. I would also, I would guess, and I would wonder, though you left feeling like more of the help was on the personal and your development side, how much did that affect your business?
A lot.
Yeah.
It affected it a lot. It did because I own a publishing company And I'm also like a branding, like I've been doing branding and stuff forever. And I was trying to find ways to promote the publishing company, but
Hmm.
it just like nothing was really land. I wasn't looking at it from there. It's really hard to brand yourself. It's really
Oh,
hard to like,
yes.
do your own resume and do your like own portfolio if you have to. It's really hard to do that.
Hmm.
And I was like kind of like in the weeds with myself. I was like too close to it. So as I was saying things out loud, I was like, and people's reactions to it, I was like, am I doing the right thing? It just had me question like everything. And then
Wow.
I shifted my entire model, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually came home and first I came home and started looking for jobs. I was like, I gotta fill up I need a
Right.
job. Let's
Like
forget this thing.
this isn't working. Yeah, right. We all go through that phase, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I was ready to phone it in. But nobody wanted to hire me. So here we are.
No, I was having that conversation with someone recently about, every 6 months to a year, I go through that banter with myself of, do I need to have a day job? Should I go back into corporate? Should I give up? Like, is it at the level? And we don't give ourselves credit for all the success we've had to where we are now.
Yeah.
And so it's my own self-talk that's negative in my head. And yeah, I was telling someone the other day, I said, the thing is, I'm successful enough that I've marketed myself out of a job because people are going to look at me and be like, "Oh, well, you're you're in this place. Why would we hire you when we know you've got this beautiful business that
Yeah.
is your passion?" Which is what I want to stay with. And so, but it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm all in. There's no option."
I know. It's like we're here, this is what we're doing. And it is. I know. It's like on my resume, it's like co-founder of Phenom Publishing. It's like, why would we hire you to be a creative director for and
Right.
listen to other people tell you what to do?
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gotta be the hardest thing about like going from owning your own business to try to get back in
Hmm.
is that that's like the expectation that you're not gonna be able to like take criticism, report, like
Oh, sure.
report to somebody, right? Because
Yeah.
you like doing it ourselves, clearly.
Yeah, and and yet that overlooks the entire fact that we have to be probably the most open to criticism because we are answering to every customer, every potential client, whether they hire us or not. We're dancing that game, and we're constantly shifting like you said, you reworked your programs and your setup after when you had to take a second look at it because we're always taking that feedback.
Yeah, it's true. Let's talk to all the hiring managers out there. We'll set them straight.
Right.
But we don't
Well,
want those jobs anyway. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that was one thing I was having a conversation with someone the last time I was going through um, that dynamic with myself, and they asked me, well, if you said yes to a job, like if you pictured yourself accepting a role, is the feeling defeat or relief? And I was
oh,
like, it's defeat instantly. I knew. I was like, I'm not relieved. And I thought, yeah, no, I don't need to pursue that because I'm
that's
not going
so
to feel good
true.
about it.
Because like it's like you think financially, supportively, like you'll feel relieved, but you left corporate for a reason.
Yeah, right.
So it would feel like defeat. It'd feel like going back with your tail between your legs.
Yeah. And I know that if you need to, that's something maybe to work through where you go, okay, it doesn't have to be that way. There are things where it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that way, but if that's the way you feel about it, it's going to be hard for you to be successful in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and
Hey,
every
at
time
least listen, we're giving this the old college try.
exactly. And one thing that I've really had to be very transparent with myself on is when I look at things that aren't working, I have to think, okay, my your initial headspace is, well, this isn't working, I should give up and quit. And yet there's a whole process to selling your business and having that success. And, initially I would say, well, am I offering a product that's good and wanted? And if I'm not, maybe I need to adjust that. Then I get that
Mhm.
product figured out and I get good feedback that people like it, but not enough people have seen it. So the rejection isn't because people don't like the product, it's because not enough people have even had the chance to reject us.
Yeah.
So then we work on that piece. And then we get to that point where they've seen us and we're not closing the sale. And then we say, well, maybe I need to do some work and learn some things about how to have that conversation. And is the offer right? And so it's constantly moving it forward to a different level of success and being able to step back and say, the whole thing isn't bad. There's one piece that I need to fix. And now that I've have more experience, I can fix that it to a
Yeah.
higher
Yeah.
level. So
And I think like things like the conference really help like show you where those holes are, like
oh
where the
yeah.
hiccups are. That was
Hmm.
really helpful. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing like being in a room full of people who are working at the same rate, the same level, the same, very similar dynamics as far as being on your own. A lot of people having a day job at the same time as trying to get something off the ground.
Mhm.
And the questions are so much more honest and raw, where it's like, well, why would you do it that way? And not in a mean put down way, but just have you thought about trying this? And you're like, oh, never in my life have I
Yeah.
thought about saying, I don't know how to do this. Will you, just whatever the thing
Never
is.
have I ever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna get into it. We got to get on the awkward stuff. We've touched on a lot of things that I think probably lean into some of this awkward journey. But is there something that stands out for you that you've had to really own or lean into that was uncomfortable, that was awkward, that now is part of why you shine?
Ugh. So I know that's why we're here. Honestly, for me, um, knowing my own worth has been really awkward. Like saying
Mm.
I have a right to chat. And this was the shift for me at No Longer Virtual, right? Like I was always like, I'm a great number two, I'm a great vice president, I'm a great like behind the
Oh.
curtain Oz person, right?
Hmm.
And I have value, and I know like I'm clearly very charming. So
Yes.
but like I think I hid behind that. So it's been very uncomfortable to kind of like peek out of the curtain and be like, "Hi, I'm here."
Yeah.
Even though I present well, like
Hmm.
I come out with confidence because I grew up as a chameleon, so I can like kind of like walk into any room and fit in.
Sure.
So I like if it's a rowdy crowd, I'm rowdy. If it's a subdued crowd, if it's church, like I am that. Like I can do
Hmm.
everything. So I think that I present like I have confidence, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, or I'm learning to, or I'm learning my worth and
Hmm.
value.
Yeah.
And that's been really uncomfortable to be like, no, I'm awesome. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. And to say I don't have to retreat to behind the curtain, or I don't have to hide that I'm the one that's the reason why something is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
something
it's
you,
it's tricky.
something you said there about the chameleon, I've resonated with that a lot because not being comfortable in my own skin, I always was good at reading the room and figuring out how to fit into the situation first. And fitting in was always the first priority. It was fitting in and not standing out. And
Yeah.
I always saw being a chameleon as that negative, who are you really, whatever. But now as I work with other people and I see that trait in them, I'm able to really value the chameleon as the connector
Mm,
because you can, if a room is really boisterous and loud, and then there's the church group that's very, you know, um, somber and mellow, and we need to be serious, those two groups can't connect. But
yeah.
the chameleon can say, I understand the best part of this group and how that can connect here with this group, and I can bring some people together by helping them, speak languages that are different to each other because I can speak both.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of your inner balance, right? So
Hmm.
when I was younger and just like you, like I just wanted to fit in, but I wanted to stand out in the crowd that I was in. Like I was a
Sure.
cheerleader, so I was
Hmm.
loud, but I was a cheerleader, so I was part of the cheerleaders. And I was like hanging
Yeah.
out with, the druggies, and I was the best druggie. I was, I was whatever.
Right.
But
Go all in
but
on
you
whatever
can
it is.
be you can be the best druggie ever. I was pretty good. But it was because of my own lack of self-worth that like no one will like me if they know who the real me is,
Oh, yeah.
right? And so hiding
Hmm.
behind that, and if I just act the way they act, maybe they'll let me stay,
Hmm.
then they'll want me
Yeah.
around. And now you're absolutely right, like being able to just like help people feel comfortable because I can identify and empathize. That's like
Sure.
it's not a chameleon thing like to blend. It's more like it's like we're just there's so much empathy
Yeah.
having been able to do that. And
Hmm.
it is true. Like I do consider myself a connector, and
Yeah.
being that I'm all awesome and everything,
Hmm. Well, and it allows you to, rather than shift your colors to blend in, it's more shifting to meet them where they are going to be able to meet you the best for that
Yes,
relationship or for their improvement and your what you need.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
So, do you
Yeah.
remember a time where you were behind that curtain and you maybe the first time where you said, I need to be okay stepping out?
Um, yeah. So before publishing, I used to be a director of marketing for this manufacturing company.
Hmm.
And I had lost a baby.
Mm.
And I went on a spiritual awakening. It's okay. Joshua is like awesome. He's my angel
Yeah.
baby. I went on a spiritual awakening to try to figure out like why that happened. There had to be purpose to this tragic event. You know, it was like
Right.
second trimester loss, so it was really
Oh God.
significant.
Yeah.
And what happened was I was like, I thought I had the dream life. I had the house, or I was getting the house. I had the husband, the kids, like all the stuff. And I was really unfulfilled. I had the great job, six figures, I was doing all the things, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I realized that like I needed to do something more. I wanted to more of a connector thing, like I needed to do. So I wound up building this school. I built an
Okay.
online university, this freaking amazing app. It was awesome. It's called finduniquelyyou.com. And that was like my first step into it. And so I had the idea, had the audacity to have the idea.
Hmm.
And then I had support by my friend Dana, and she was like there backing me up. And then as I started to build it, I started to build my community. And then I started making videos to my community, like, hey
Mm.
guys, here's what's happening. And just like making video to people. And
Right.
then I was like, and so I started with these emails and I hid behind these emails. And it is like I have a book of these emails, and it was like everything goes from whatever, but you can feel my everything's great, Ray Raw, to getting to more deep and more personal as I came out from behind the curtain. You
Yeah.
know, like I got more
Right.
into it, but I hid behind uncomfortable optimism,
Hmm.
you
Oh,
know, and
uncomfortable
it was
optimism. Wow. Is that what you said? Uncomfortable optimism?
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's like you're optimistic, but inside you know
So like it was
it feels
cringy.
off. Yeah.
It was a little cringy. Like if you're reading it, you'd be like, okay, this girl's on crack. Like she's super optimistic about this like crazy pipe dream she has, but okay,
Hmm.
support your kid. Like you could
Yeah.
feel it.
I love that. And I like that you talk about kind of you're easing into that coming out process of kind of starting with the emails, hiding behind the emails, and then you're like, okay, I got to put my face out there. They got to hear my voice. And I think each step that we take allows us to have the courage for that next level.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always like for me, it was no matter how awkward this feels, this is what
Hmm.
my intuition's telling me to do. So
Yeah.
just do it. Just
So
do it
how,
and unapologetically, you know, like I didn't do like 50 takes. I just like I remember I think I recorded the first one in my backyard and I lived on a railroad line. So across the
hmm
street was the train tracks.
yeah.
So I was like, hold on a second. It's just rolling through. And then I went back into it, you know.
I
I
love
was
that
like,
and didn't
whatever.
edit it out.
Now
I
like
love
I think
that.
that became like how I got comfortable with it was like as long as I don't rewatch it, edit it, critique myself,
Right.
just do it. Just do
Hmm.
it. Like we're not going to edit this, you know, as far as like, you know, you're not changing any words or anything, you know.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you were able to be unapologetic about it because I know in my early days I felt like I still needed to apologize for every imperfection or I did my first videos were really edited. I would record for 45 minutes to get a 2 minute snippet and then I would get it all edited down and uh and I just remember how stressful I was at one point. I was like, why am I doing all this work? My whole point is to be just you. And
Mm,
I wouldn't edit out every or ah because one thing is I didn't want it to be uh
robotic,
inauthentic in the
right?
part that I was saying. I want the part that comes through, but I would do 8 takes to get the one where I went through the whole thing.
Wow.
And now I'm just like, oh, I'm online, the same thing. There's a train going by, or one video I did recently, I was like, a bug just landed in my mouth. This is great, you know. I mean, I'll
That's
still do, but more of my
awesome.
retakes are because I lost my train of thought and not um, because I put said a filler word or something like that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but how did that come out? Did you run into situations where it was like, oh God, I'm regretting this, like, or was it, you know what, this is the new me and everything's great and I'm never looking back?
You know, I think as I got more comfortable with like being out in the open and just like here I am, like
Hmm.
I'm naked. Here you go.
Right.
I think that the more I felt comfortable with that, like that became my brand. Like I'm just
Yeah.
authentic to the core. You know, I just
Hmm.
show up. I part of my trait is that like I don't prep for anything. So like I didn't prep for
Yeah.
this
Right.
thing. I didn't prep for no longer virtual, even though I was presenting. I winged
Hmm.
that thing. Like I
Yeah.
had no idea what I
Well,
was gonna say.
it was so good, and it wasn't, and I think that's what made it so good is it wasn't like, here's my rehearsed PowerPoint thing. It's like, this is what we're
Yeah.
going to talk about and see where the discussion in the room goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think so I think that that's been part of my it's given me the courage to
Hmm.
just do it and be out there because when I do try to rehearse or over create something, it feels fake.
Yeah. No, I'm so with you because back to the comedy thing, the more I certain jokes, the more that I tell them and the more I'm practicing the exact timing, I actually feel like I get worse at telling them
I can
because
imagine that because you get used to like a cadence, right?
yeah,
Or
and
like
it almost be like you lose your passion for it, where it's like, nope,
mm,
this is the thing I'm reciting, and it becomes a recital versus I'm interacting in the moment. And that's when I coach people on speaking, I actually coach them to not memorize their speech. It's like that is that gets in so much of the way of connecting with the audience. And so what we need to
oh,
do is be comfortable telling the stories in our lives that get to the point that we want to tell. And
ah,
so
that's
I'm
great.
same way when I give even a 45-minute keynote, I'm like, this is not, I feel like I'm winging it, and then I feel like I'm maybe not as prepared as I should be. Yet the thing that I make sure I know is what do I want to leave the audience with, and what's the first sentence I'm going to say, and then what am I going to close on? Like those are the things I
Yeah.
arrange. And in the middle, I'm like, I'm going to tell this story about grandpa. I'm going to tell this story about when I came out. I'm going to tell this story about when I was depressed, because those are all going to take us on that journey. But I don't need to sit here and memorize the story of my life because it was my life.
Right, right. And so then you
Yeah.
may like people may be laughing, so you might want to go in a
Hmm.
different direction and tell a
Yeah.
different kind of story that still gets to the same point. I know. And I have to say, you brought it up. I felt like I did you guys a disservice by not preparing, but I'm glad that
Hmm.
it landed a little bit. You
Right.
know what I mean? I felt like I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, is that disrespectful not to really prepare?
Well, the thing is, the preparation you're doing is in all of the lessons you've already learned before you ever got hired for that gig.
Yeah,
You've already
yeah,
done all that preparation. Now, when I do keynotes, I have learned to make sure I prepare in the framework of, is there a key takeaway this person's hiring me to get to their audience? So do I have something to send with them? Like
yeah,
I've had to because I have leaned into that winging it and then learned that I had to find the balance. Okay, this part needs to be prepared and ready, and then within that framework, I can very successfully wing it and go be on the fly.
yeah,
And that's one thing that I like is that you kind of leaned into, this is my brand. I'm showing up authentically. It's a conversation, and we're gonna bring my experience, bring my style to it, and then we'll
yeah.
go from there. So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had like a thought. I think that's interesting because I had like a what do I want to open with and what do I
Hmm.
want people to work on? Like what is the
Sure.
point? What is the one thing of the many things I could talk about? And I did have like a thought of how it would go. But then like after
Yeah.
15 minutes, I'm like, Ruben, take it away.
Right. Yeah. And that's a different dynamic too, because you're working with a partner who you may not have met before. That gets a whole different dynamic in that scenario
Yeah,
versus when you have the entire control over the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
But no, I thought what you did was beautiful. And the thing that was um, so engaging was that you did not shy away from telling your personal story and how that got
Mm,
you into what you're doing now. And I think sometimes, like you mentioned earlier, that wrong way of viewing work-life balance where we don't want to bring our backstory into everything. I've been with family where, American Idol or America's Got Talent is on and they go to the backstory and you're like, can we skip the backstory? Can we just watch them sing or dance or do whatever? However, that's there for a reason because it's what gets you to want to root for that person. And then we throw
yeah,
that importance out when it's our own stories and our own life. And yet that's what's going to endear people to buy from us and support our brands. And even though when
yeah,
you're publishing and helping other people with their books, or you're doing marketing and you're helping other people with their marketing, they need to know your story to know why it's important that you can see theirs.
Yes, it's so smart. And when am I going to do your book, honey?
We're gonna have to get on that because I have always self-published stuff, and I'm ready to take things to the next level. In fact, I had an idea for a book the other day, and I had a promise I made to myself a couple months ago was that I have a list of tasks that I refuse to take on until I'm hiring someone else to do them because
Okay.
it's things where I say, "Oh, why am I researching, learning how to do all this stuff and spending all this time to create this thing?" Yet that's getting in the way of me having a conversation about a keynote or an employee engagement program. And so I realized some task work that I was is important and good to do, but that I'm like, that isn't going to move the needle on my business as much as this other stuff I should be
Yes.
doing. And one of the
Yes.
things was, so I had an idea for a book about a month or two after I had that made that promise to myself. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be 50 in next month. And I thought this would be a great book to tie in with like that timing. And even though my last book just came out in May, I thought, oh, I could turn this around. I have most of the thoughts written out, and I could, if I really dedicated time to it. And I thought, damn it, Andy, you just promised yourself you were not going to go down this road until you were. And so I thought I'm going to put that on the list of this is still a great idea, and I will do it soon. But it doesn't.
Okay.
But don't freeze the business. So yeah, so we'll definitely talk because
Yeah, because I'll just take over all the publishing part of it for you so
which is
that you can
beautiful.
just put your brilliance out there and we'll make it awesome. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So let's talk
yeah.
about what you do and how you can help people because I know you have books you've written, you have things you published, you have so much that you're doing. Uh, what do you bring into the world in that regard, and how do people support you? And tell us all about all the things.
Is this the infomercial part of the program?
This is the infomercial part, but don't leave your sets.
I
Don't go
know.
away because there's going to be some good nuggets too.
Okay. So yes, I've published three books under my own imprint because, that's what we
Hmm.
do.
Right.
And again, putting myself first, learning how to do that. I have done branding for probably 30 years. So I have done branding for corporate. I have even just working on brands like American Express, Verizon, like the big guys back in the day when I
Yeah.
was a little peon art director. Um, and then now I do like corporate level branding and I'll charge like 25, $26,000 to do a brand for somebody, which is cheap compared to what other agencies
Sure.
would
Yeah.
charge, right? I've done it for mom and pops. I've done it for everybody.
Hmm.
And the process is exactly the same, no matter how big or small the organization is.
Wow.
And in 2008, we had a major recession. We're all aware of that. I was going through my first divorce because I'm collecting ex-husbands. Um, so I was laid off from my agency because of all the agency bloat and whatever. Like it was just crazy. And so I got together a couple friends of mine and we started this little boutique niche thing where we took all this corporate level guidance and did like full service agency with like three people. So
Mm.
copywriter, production, account, like we just made it work.
Yeah.
And so it's always been my desire to help the little guy, like take all the stuff that I've learned and help little guy. And I've been doing that since 2008 on my own. So
Hmm.
I put it all into this handy dandy manual. Look how skinny it is. So this is called the Ultimate DIY Brand Jedi Training Manual, and it's like a workbook,
Oh, I
and
love
it
that.
takes you through. It's like, and I do like, because I call myself a brand Jedi. I'm like
Hmm.
intuitive brand Jedi, but it takes you through designing your own brand foundation. This is not just about your logo and how you look on the outside. That's outside, that's the identity. This is your brand DNA, your foundation, and it walks you through
Wow.
defining your purpose, your vision, your mission, your core values. And when you can articulate those things very simply, your marketing like rolls off the tongue. You connect with your
Yeah.
audience, that you attract your audience because they're
Wow.
aligning with the soul of your brand instead of like this like superficial stuff. And
Hmm.
then because we're in the day and age of I have like how you can, because not everyone's creative, right? And I get
Right.
that, right? So this isn't easy. It's not easy for me to do. So
Hmm.
what I do is say, like, here, write it yourself in your own bad words, and then here's a prompt to put into like Chat GPT or something.
Okay.
And here's
I
how you
love
can
that. So
now
you
refine it.
you both use the book to
Yep.
use the technology the I hate to say the old school way, but the traditional way of working through it, and then you
Yeah.
leverage that, what you just learned about yourself to say, now how do we take that to the next level with the tools that are
Yeah.
out
So
there?
so this
Oh,
one here, Jedi. This guy, come here, Jedi
yeah, it's
robot.
adorable.
Chat GPT and I were working together, and I was like, okay, so I was practicing to do the prompts work, and this is
Hmm.
like what I do for my clients,
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it's great, and he was like, it. My bestie was like, do you want me
Mhm.
to design a little icon you can use for me? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how about a lightsaber? I'm like, great. I'm
Right.
like,
Oh
this
my
was
gosh, I
designed
love
by the
that.
robot.
The branding is
So
perfect because it definitely says like AI, but you definitely know that he's a Jedi. I love that. I can just see you working
um,
with clients and when you have some logos on the table to choose from, and you're just like, these are not the logos you're looking for.
this is the
Yeah.
one you want. Use
Yeah.
the force.
Well, and
So
I love
I
the term Jedi too because it just sums up right away without extra thought what it is that you do.
Yeah, I mean, this basically helps you become your own Grandmaster Jedi, and I'm with you through every step of the way. And I use like personal anecdotes. I have meditations in there, like guided meditations to help you get to like your vision and your mission.
Hmm.
It's really freaking good. And for like
Yeah.
25 bucks, instead of paying an agency, you're paying someone to
Right.
do it for you. And then oh my God, what I love about this too is we don't always know how to do our own websites, right? There are so
Right.
many tools out there to do a
Hmm.
website, but like, so you could go, you get a template, you could know what you want to put there, but it usually looks like a shit show if you have no idea what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I that's how my first website was a template, and I want to say every 6 months or a year and a half, I was updating, changing the template, and I felt like each time I did it, it looked crappier and crappier, and yeah.
Yeah. So I have like okay, take your brand matrix. I do content mining. I do how to set up like what a site map looks like so that if you're not going to do it yourself, you can hand all of these things to a developer or to someone on Fiverr or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And there's no question of your brand, what they want to say, anything. Like
Wow.
it takes like saves so much money and so much time for everybody.
Sure. And one thing that I
Awesome.
think is so important that you said, and you kind of you said it somewhat quickly, like it wasn't like a major point, but to me it is when you were talking about the work that you do and the companies you've worked with, that it's the same process, whether you're just starting your brand, whether you're a mom pa, whether somewhat established or a major company, it's the same process. And I think that can really help us look at, is this book right for me with where I'm at in my business? Because that doesn't matter. You need to go through those same questions.
Yes, and I definitely and identify different levels of how to work with
Hmm.
this. Okay. So if you are a college student and knowing who you are, knowing what you want to bring to the world, if you know what your purpose is and you can align with the company, the right career, whatever path, knowing
Hmm.
how to set up your resume, what's your tone, are you, just getting through all that stuff. If you are a solopreneur or a founder, whatever, right?
Yeah.
If you are a small business, here's how you guys can do this collaboratively. Like I go through the whole thing and I give you
Yeah.
guidance on like how to do it. Either do it in the book or do it outside the book, throw stickies on the wall. Um,
Hmm.
if you're like, and I don't see like a major corporation using this, like if you have more than 100 people and you're
Sure,
very busy
you'll
and
have a team.
you have the
But
team,
someone
you
on
don't need to
that
do it.
but someone on that team might refer to the book to help
Someone on that
themselves
team,
perform better,
they will,
you know.
they will, they will look like a rock star if they come with this kind of stuff and they're like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, it's totally my idea. Let's do that SWOT analysis,
Right, yeah,
like
exactly. And
do
that's
it.
where, yeah, the company by themselves might not say, okay, everyone got their copy of the Marketing Jedi today. However, all those individual people might go, "Oh yeah, this is this is awesome."
Yeah,
Um,
become a star on your team.
yeah. Another thing is that resonated with me when you were talking about the process of defining your brand. When I worked through my logo, I had someone who was before we did the logo, before we did the website, and did a bunch of rebranding elements. And I remember her asking me, I was like, "Oh, great! I remember this is how I thought the process would go."
Mhm.
I know you're laughing already because this is no
No,
news
this
to
is
you,
how
right?
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody
It's
goes
like
through this.
I
Absolutely.
I'd love to I need a new logo. Here's my business, here's what I do. Someone who knew me well so they knew that wasn't a surprise to them, and this is what I kind of want it to look like. This is what I'd love
Hmm.
for it to represent. And then this is a very experienced, very good at their job, gives me all this homework. Give me these things that represent your brand. How do these make you feel? Go on Google and find 10 images that represent your brand and 10 that you'd be horrified if they were tied to your brand. And I'm just going, and I sat on that for weeks. I'm just going, this is working the wrong way. Like, why am I doing all this work? But going through that process, we came up with something much different. I mean, exactly what I wanted, but much different than what I said I wanted, if that makes sense.
Yes,
It
a
was like, this
hundred
is exactly
percent.
what I want. And I never would have relayed it that way had we not had those conversations and done that work.
Yes, and a lot of people don't even have somebody who has that ability to draw it out of you. They don't ask the right questions. So
Yeah,
they'll just say like, or you can like even using like AI, you're not putting
right.
in the right information, so you're getting like
Yeah.
and it's like if you can't the more you can feed it with your soul, the more you
Hmm.
can feed it with I call it the below the iceberg, right? So the
Oh,
above the
yeah.
iceberg is your logo, that's what everybody can
Hmm.
see. But below the iceberg, 75% is below the waterline.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's your foundation. That's everything. So if you
Hmm.
don't know those things, then
Yeah.
you're
And I almost wish we had recorded some of our conversations, just from the documenting the laughing at ourselves and the oh yeah, like at one point I wanted an arrow in it because I do coaching and changing and speaking, and so we're making movement and direction. So we talked about do we have an arrow to show growth and movement? And the one logo, it's like it looks like an in and out logo. Like that can't work. And it's just the things where it's like when you're like picking baby names and you think of the way you're going to make fun of them. You're like, oh, we can't name them
yeah.
that because of
Oh my God,
this.
that's so true. That's so
And so it's
true.
like almost things get ruled out, not because they were horrific, but just like, nope, I have a bad memory with someone named that. Like, um,
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
like nope, I dated someone with that name. No.
exactly. I have a name I can't date because it's I've done two, and it's just like, nope, I have a no rule for that name. So
I know when I meet someone, they're like, "You're the second Angela I've dated." I'm like, "That's not going to go over well, is it?" I'm
right,
like, "What am I, Angela 2.0?" Like, just to remind you who I
right.
am.
It's always
Yeah, it's
interesting when
great.
you meet someone who all of their exes have been the same name, or all of their something. We're just going. I just feel like there's some work that needs to be done in an office that you should be using your insurance for at this point. But yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
but just to close the loop on people who are going through the same thing or have gone through with the logo,
Yeah.
clear honestly, it's knowing who you are and being able to put in a couple of those like key elements.
Hmm.
It's like your logo doesn't matter. It's what you're
Yeah.
bringing to the table. Your brand is in everything you do. It's how
Hmm.
you treat people. It's how you respond to customers and clients. It's
Right.
everything. It's
Yeah.
everything. So your logo is just like the pretty little picture, but
Yeah.
that doesn't really matter. You can have the
Right.
crappiest logo, but the best, most authentic brand,
Hmm.
and your logo is like whatever, like it's
Yeah.
fine.
It's like I saw someone who was doing a reel and they were talking about logos, and they're in marketing space, and they were proving the point that your logo doesn't have to have all the data in it of what you do. And
Yeah.
they said this is a computer company and it's a picture of an apple. And this is a food company and it's the Golden Arches. And you have that tells you nothing about what they sell. It doesn't have a picture of fries or hamburgers or anything. McDonald's has or Starbucks has a mermaid on their logo. Subway just says
Yeah.
Subway with an arrow as at the end of the logo, tells you nothing of what they serve, and
Right.
yet they stand out. They're great because that brand. You're right. It's behind that one image.
Yes, and then also they stand out because there's consistency. So
Hmm.
you can
Yeah.
have a logo, you can have like you can treat it different ways and whatever. It is being so consistent that
Yeah.
it just looks like Seinfeld Costanza, like just repeating and repeating and repeating,
Hmm.
and that consistency is everything too.
I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about awkward. We talked about all the things you're doing. We talked about your book. Where is the best place for people to find your book and to get it and support the other things that you're doing and connect with you?
Um, so the website for all of our books is phenom-publishing.com.
Hmm.
But find me on LinkedIn, chat with me, connect with me. Like if anything interests you, I'll show you links. But yeah, Brand Jedi, Angela DiMarco. Like I've got a couple books on Amazon. You know, That's where you can go. Buy my
Perfect.
books. Buy now.
And
But
if you're
also,
listening, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
if anybody does buy the book and want to do the work and has any questions, like my email is in the book.
Oh,
I am with you because some of the stuff can be confusing or you might want to talk it through. Like I am
mhm.
so happy to connect. I love watching the ahas
Yeah.
that come from doing the work. It is fascinating. And it happens
Mhm.
every time. Every
Yeah.
time. So
Well, and I love that because people tend to think I can't reach out to an author. I don't want to bother them. We put people who have done work that we admire kind of up on a pedestal and think they're out of touch or that it's going to be a
yeah.
bother. And yet from the side of the author, we're putting things out there into the world and we have no idea if it helped people or like we get some feedback here and there but we don't have the scope of that and so at least for me it's like I love when people comment or share or say
Yeah.
something like oh I was at an event locally and this guy that I didn't know he even remembered my name and he's like oh yeah I read your last book. I'm like really like I probably sounded like a smartass because I was like I always feel like you blow me off in that kind of arrogant, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Um, but like we don't know who's taking that in or who it helps, and sometimes those people are even telling other people about it, but they don't tell us, and so it
Oh,
is
that's
nice
so,
when you hear
yeah, it's
back.
true. It is true. And
Yeah.
I honestly, and even like feedback, like I didn't get this
Hmm.
question. Is there a better way to word it? Like, I love it. Like, help
Right.
me make it better.
Yeah. And yeah, and if you're driving down the road listening to this, don't, try to write anything down as you're going. It's in the show notes. You can click on all the links to Angela's stuff and you can connect with her that way. Angela, I'm going to ask you one last thing, but before that, we got to talk about Edward. If you're listening and not watching, there's
Are
been
you
a
team Edward or team Jacob?
Emmett. No.
I am
Yeah.
team Emmett personally.
Yeah.
I'm filming from my daughter's room because this is
Yeah.
where the internet is best. So Twilight is our guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So there's been a pillow that has Edward's face on it, kind of staring at us from the corner. And right before we started recording, it looked as if someone was sitting on the couch next to Angela. And I was just like, "Do you need to blink if you're okay? Like, who's not letting you speak to the world?"
He's a vampire. He doesn't need to blink.
It's true. Yeah. And
It freaks me
so,
out every night.
so yeah, that's funny. I know there's those things that can be in your space, and yet they still catch you off guard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I love that. So is there anything left that you want to make sure we touch on or that you leave the world with before we go?
I leave the world with before I leave the world.
Yeah, oh gosh,
Um,
that sounds ominous.
yeah.
For the
No, I think like honestly, first of all, everybody needs to support you and check out your comedy because you're brilliant and I adore you.
Oh, thank you.
So I think that's the first and foremost. And second of all, just when it comes to like branding and trying to do any of this stuff, don't try to be anything but yourself.
Mhm.
Just be you. Just be unapologetically you in everything you do because nobody is like you. You can have two donut shops next to each other, but they're both different because the owners are different.
I
That
love
like
that.
that you have to go by who you are because nobody walked in your footsteps. Nobody's done the same things you've done. Even if you're a dime a dozen career path,
Hmm.
nobody does what you do, and you will find your people if you are true to yourself.
That is so important. And that just makes me think about like as you're answering the questions in the book or as you're going through these exercises and growing your brand and your business, it's so hard to believe when people say there's no wrong answer and there's no right answer and you just have to do what's right. But it's that's got to be a hard thing for people to step away from as they're answering those questions to get out of the mindset of, well, what's the thing that's going to move the needle the most? What's the thing that's going to have the most impact?
Yeah.
What's the right quote unquote
What are they
answer?
doing outside? What is
Yeah.
in the marketplace? What is the and I have a whole thing about competitors and looking at it like, because you
Hmm.
got to know what everyone's
Sure.
doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't fricking matter because as long as you are being you,
Hmm.
you'll find your people. Like we connected right away because we're very aligned.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
That's
matter about
awesome.
work. It's like friendship from a friendship
Hmm.
perspective. We
Yeah.
both showed up true to ourselves and we were like, boom, best friends.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you're doing that for your business, you don't have to worry about like data analysis and market blah blah blah. It's like honestly, just be you. Start putting content out that is true to you. Don't be afraid to say how you feel.
Right. Yeah, I love that. That's so such a good lesson, so important, and I feel like I could sit here and pick your brain forever and just keep learning. And I'm gonna do the work in the book because even though I have things developed, I think it's worth always kind of revisiting
Always,
and growing.
always. Because
Yeah.
you want to be able to answer, like if someone says, "What's your purpose? Why do you exist on this planet?"
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easy to answer when you do the work.
It is. Yeah. And that's the thing. We're doing all of this work up front so that it's just like any workout, so that it's not hard to do the lifting later because we've developed the muscles. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
Thank
Angela, I
you.
appreciate you so very much. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for opening up, for getting awkward, and for all the work you're doing out there in the world. It's truly a blessing to have you in my life. I appreciate it.
Oh, right back at you, babe.
All right. Everybody else, be sure you go out there, connect with Angela on LinkedIn, follow her, get the book, rely on the Jedi, like lean into your marketing genius with all the help from the guidance of Angela, and of course, own your awkward. There we go.
Peace out.
Peace out. There you go. Peace out.
Awkward
We'll
ending.
we'll leave that in just for the more awkward ending. So if you stayed past that little clip, you got a bonus. Peace out, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in for today's show. Be sure to visit awkwardcareer.com to continue your journey. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends so they can find their awkward side and learn how to own it.